Welcome to SigniFlow Academy, where our ninjas show you how to use your system to its full potential. Welcome to part 2 of the training overview. In this video, we'll focus on uploading a document and sending it for signature. You can drag and drop documents such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or PDF files. All documents are converted into PDFs, so signatures can be securely encrypted. You can also upload documents directly from your device. Use document templates, or use SigniFlow forms created by your system administrator. For this example, select documents from your device and click OK. Once uploaded, SigniFlow automatically takes you into the workflow setup. Every workflow starts with portfolio and document configuration. At this stage, you can rename the portfolio, rename documents, add more documents, or include placeholders. You may need an ID copy from the person you're sending the document to. In this case, you can add an ID copy placeholder to the portfolio to ensure it's provided during the signing process. Once this is done, your documents are ready for the next steps in the workflow. Click Next to proceed to adding recipients to the workflow. You'll notice that the basic information required is the recipient's full name and email address. There's also an option to add a mobile number, which is useful if you're using OTPs as a form of authentication. SigniFlow maintains a contact list for your convenience. Everyone within your organization is already available as a contact, and any external recipients you've previously shared documents with are also saved to your contact list. For example, when adding someone from your organization, you can start typing their name and select them from the suggested options. However, if the recipient is outside of your organization, you'll need to manually enter their details. Once the information is added, you can proceed to include that person in the workflow. For this example, we are going to add another signer. As you add your signers in this way, you're creating a sequential workflow. This means the order in which you add the signers is the exact order in which the document will be sent and signed. You can add recipients to the workflow in different roles, depending on what action is required from them. First, you can add recipients as signers. These are the individuals who need to sign the document. We also offer a face-to-face signer option. This is ideal for anyone who is physically with you. Instead of sending the document to them electronically, you add them to the workflow so they can sign directly on your device. For example, if you're meeting with a client in your office, you can prepare the document on your laptop and then turn the screen toward them so they can sign. Similarly, if you're visiting a client and using a tablet, you can prepare the workflow on the tablet and hand it to them to complete the signing. Next, we have the Needs to Approve option. This is used for document reviewers who don't need to sign but must review the document. Once they're satisfied, they can simply click the Approve button within the SigniFlow platform, allowing the document to move on to the next step in the workflow. There's also the Can View option, which allows you to CC recipients on the workflow. These users don't need to take any action. They're included purely for visibility. Regardless of the role, whether signer, approver, or viewer, all recipients involved in the workflow will automatically receive a copy of the final, signed document once the process is complete. If you'd like someone to receive a copy of the completed document without being part of the workflow, you can add them as receives a copy. These recipients won't be notified during the signing process and won't have any required actions, but they will receive the final document once it's signed and completed. You can also create group workflows. Group workflows are useful when a document needs approval or a signature from a team or department, but it doesn't matter which specific person completes the action. For example, you might need a sign-off from the legal team, but you don't know in advance who will be available. With a group workflow, any one member of that group can complete the signing step. To create a group workflow, simply drag one recipient onto another. This assigns them the same signing order number, allowing them to act at the same stage in the workflow. You are able to rename the group. Once one person in the group completes the required action, the document can continue to the next step in the workflow. Alternatively, you can use a parallel workflow. In a parallel workflow, there's no signing order, which means all recipients receive the document at the same time and can sign simultaneously. Once you're satisfied with the signing order, you can move on to the next stage, where we add the required fields. Our fields are largely standard, allowing you to follow your own document structure and select the fields you need. For example, the signature field is used wherever a recipient is required to sign the document. All fields are fully resizable, allowing you to adjust them to fit your document layout. We also offer an initials field, which you can place wherever a recipient is required to initial the document. This field includes an option to apply it to multiple pages. So if a recipient needs to initial several pages, you can easily select this option and have the initials field automatically applied across all required pages. Next, we have our text fields, which allow signers to type information directly into the document. In this example, the signer needs to enter details such as a company name, registration number, and some personal information. For this, we use text fields. There are two types of text fields available: a mandatory text field and an open text field. The mandatory text field requires the recipient to complete the information before they're able to sign the document. All fields are fully resizable, allowing you to adjust them to match your document layout. You can resize a field by clicking and dragging with your mouse, or by using the Dimensions button to set the size more precisely. The same applies to the open text field. It works in exactly the same way, with one key difference: it's optional. This means the signer is not required to complete the field in order to sign the document. Even if the field is left blank, they can still proceed with signing. This gives you full control to decide which information is required and which fields can remain optional. Alternatively, you can use a read-only text field. This allows you to add information to the document on behalf of the recipient. This is typically used for details you already have, so instead of the signer typing it out, you can enter it yourself. This comment will be visible to the recipient when they receive the document. You can use this field in any way that best suits your internal processes or workflow requirements. Moving on to the second row of fields, these are user information fields, which means they're automatically populated wherever possible. For example, the signer's name is auto-filled because you've already identified who the signer is. The same applies to their email address and their contact number, if it was provided earlier in the process. The same applies to the date field. The remaining fields are selection fields, such as the date selector field. These allow recipients to choose options directly on the document and can be used for single or multiple selections. In this example, the signer needs to choose between yes or no, so I'll place a checkbox next to the yes option. I'll then copy the same checkbox and place it next to the no option. From there, I can add validation rules to ensure the signer selects at least one option. You can also include a drop-down field, which allows you to provide predefined options for the recipient to choose from. Simply enter the available choices, such as option 1, option 2, or option 3. And the signer can select the appropriate option from the drop-down list. In addition, you can add a stamp field if a recipient is required to stamp the document. Our ad hoc fields are designed for scenarios like witness signing. For example, you may be sending a document to John to sign, and the document requires a witness signature. But you don't yet know who that witness will be, so you can't add them to the workflow in advance. Let's add a signature field for Jane and proceed with our workflow. If you're working with documents that follow a similar structure and you don't want to drag and drop fields every time, you can save your fields as a template. Simply enter the name of the field template. And you can also choose the scope under which it's saved. This could be for your personal use, your team, your department, or your entire organization. Once saved, anyone who uploads this document into SigniFlow can simply load the template instead of manually dragging and dropping the fields each time. The same applies to your workflow. If you have a standard signing process, such as a document going to a client first, then to Jane Smith, and then to Jane Doe, and your internal signers or approvers remain the same, you can save this as a workflow template. You can then apply the template. Click Next to proceed with the document workflow. You also have the option to add a custom message. This step is optional and allows you to include a personalized note. Lastly, you can assign a due date to the workflow. This is especially useful for time-sensitive documents, as it clearly indicates when the document needs to be signed. After setting the due date, you can choose whether the document remains signable once that date has passed. You also have the option to send the document as high priority, ensuring the email notification is marked as important for the recipient. Additionally, you can enable auto reminders. Instead of manually reminding signers from the circulating basket on your dashboard, SigniFlow can automatically send reminder notifications each day until the document is signed or rejected. Finally, with the Auto Portfolio Completion email, the system treats each document in the portfolio as an individual document. This means you'll receive a notification as soon as each document, such as a contract or an NDA, is completed and signed, rather than waiting for the entire portfolio to be finalized. SigniFlow offers 3 email delivery methods. The first option notifies all recipients of any actions that require their attention, ensuring everyone is kept informed throughout the workflow. The second option skips all recipients, meaning no email notifications will be sent at any stage of the process. Once everything is complete, click Send to deliver the documents to the relevant recipients. That concludes Part 2 of this 3-part training overview series. Please continue to Part 3, where we'll show you how the document is signed. Thank you for watching SigniFlow Academy. Request a demo or keep watching SigniFlow Academy to learn more.